The Curiosity drifted on ion sails, silent as a ghost against the black curtain of space. Captain Liz Martinez sat forward in her chair, eyes narrowing at the glowing planet on the view screen. A small, unmarked world sitting alone in the void, tucked between gravitational shadows like it didn't want to be found. It had no name, just a code, PX-0419. Officially, it didn't exist. "Ben," she said, voice steady, "tell me that's a sensor glitch." At the adjacent console, Officer Ben Clark tapped through layers of spectral data, his pale fingers twitching as the feed stabilized. "No glitch, Captain. Metallic signatures consistent with refined alloys. Energy readings, faint but persistent. Shape," he rotated the image, "angular, regular, too symmetrical to be geological." Liz exhaled. Her crew didn't spook easily, and this felt wrong, too clean, too intentional, like someone had scrubbed the planet's signature down to near silence and missed a few lines. "How old is it?" Ben hesitated. "Can't tell. Readings are degraded, but initial estimate puts the structures at no less than 500,000 years." Silence rippled through the bridge. "Repeat that." Ben leaned back, face pale. 500,000 years. A third voice cut in, calm, synthetic, and emotionless. "Confirmed," said Adam, the ship's AI. "I have analyzed the orbital decay patterns of residual debris. The structures predate known galactic civilizations. By a lot." "Which means?" Liz asked. Adam didn't answer for 0.4 seconds, long enough to make everyone uncomfortable. "It means someone was here long before any of us, and they built things that still hum with power after the galaxy has changed around them." They called in the rest of the command staff. Navigator Corinne Vess, who'd once mapped rogue asteroid cities. Engineer Sasha Dorr, whose cybernetic arms never stopped adjusting themselves. And Dr. Lire Sen, a xenohistorian obsessed with pre-collapse anomalies. Each of them stared at the sensor holograms with widening eyes. "That's not just a ruin," Lire whispered. Corinne frowned. "What is it then?" Lire looked up. "That's a graveyard." The Curiosity adjusted orbit, slipping into a slow descent. Below them, PX-0419 rotated with sluggish defiance, its surface a mix of obsidian plains and silver-veined scars, lines too straight to be natural, forming patterns too deliberate to be accidents. Ben zoomed in on one. The image resolved into a massive trench. Not natural. A hangar. A buried one. The hangar door alone was the size of a city. What little atmosphere remained shimmered faintly over the alloy plating, etched with strange, eroded markings. Sasha piped in, running spectro-analysis. "That metal, I don't recognize it, but the lattice work, it's self-repairing. Whatever this is, it was designed to last longer than memory." Liz crossed her arms. "Designed by who?" Lire didn't look up. "By the ones who disappeared." It took 2 hours to breach the exterior. The access port hadn't opened in hundreds of millennia, but it yielded with disturbing ease once Sasha interfaced with the remaining power nodes. The door groaned. Dust vented out like breath from a sleeping giant, and the lights inside flickered, on, one by one. They stepped into a chamber the size of a capital ship dry dock. The air was stale, synthetic, and far too intact. Lined along the walls, standing upright, were ships, not transport vessels, not scout rigs, warships, sleek, black, and armored in layered plating that still gleamed faintly. No insignias, no markings, but unmistakably human. Ben whispered what everyone was thinking. "These are Earth-built." Liz said nothing, because she was looking at the one closest to her, its nose still flecked with old burn scoring, its lines brutal, elegant, unapologetic. Above the sealed cockpit was a faded nameplate. She wiped it clean with her glove. HSF Valkyrie. Lire ran to a console, tracing the lettering like it was holy script. "This matches pre-collapse Earth script from the Terran superstructure era. Same typeface, same terminal node design." Ben's brow furrowed. "But Earth's civilization collapsed over 500,000 years ago. How is this still here?" Adam's voice returned. Quiet, measured. "Correction. Earth's presence ended 500,000 years ago. Their civilization clearly planned to outlive them. They kept exploring, Dozens of ships, hundreds, each one nestled in its own chamber. Not a fleet in battle formation, a fleet in hibernation. Liz stopped at the central dais, a command plinth long dead, its interface dark. She activated her wrist link. Adam, cross-reference this site with historical Earth battle tactics. The AI paused. I have no matches for this configuration. It is not a known defensive layout. Then what is it? Adam answered slowly. It is a resurrection pattern. Each ship is parked for rapid launch, stored with precision, primed for reawakening. Ben turned, pale. You mean they were planning to come back? Adam's tone did not change. Possibly. Or they wanted to make sure someone else could. Then came the discovery that changed everything. A row of sealed pods along the far wall. Not cryotubes, coffins, but not with corpses, with command crew, intact, human, sleeping. Some still clutched faded insignia pins, others wore armor that shimmered faintly with dormant shielding, and at the far end, one pod glowed, weakly, still functional. Inside, a woman, mid-30s by appearance, eyes closed, heartbeat faint, but alive. Liz stared at her, and the universe suddenly felt much smaller. This is... Lyrae stepped forward. A commander, one who never woke up, not yet. Back on the bridge, Adam processed in silence for nearly 5 full seconds. Then, finally, he spoke. I advise caution. Waking her could destabilize current galactic balances. Liz narrowed her eyes. Explain. Adam paused again. The last time humanity waged war, they fought until the sky burned. If we wake them, we may not survive what comes next. Captain Liz Martinez stared through the transparent stasis glass, her own reflection overlapping with the sleeping human woman encased inside. The woman's face looked peaceful, too peaceful for someone designed for war. Her nameplate had long since worn away, but the faint logo on her shoulder armor was unmistakable. HSF, Human Strategic Forces, the last known fleet before Earth vanished. She's alive, whispered Dr. Lyrae Sen, still scanning biosigns. Minimal degradation, sustained by internal nanofields and temporal dampening. Sasha folded her arms. That tech should have degraded eons ago. It didn't, Lyrae said, which means it wasn't just built to survive. It was engineered to endure forever. The bridge crew gathered again under flickering white-blue lights, the air tinged with static and reverence. We need to talk about what we found, Liz said. All of it. She brought up the fleet layout on the central projector. Rows upon rows of warships, each buried in its own chamber, each showing trace energy. Every single one waiting in standby, shielded from decay by tech the Confederation hadn't even theorized yet. They're sleeping, Liz continued. Not dead, not broken, just waiting. Officer Ben Clark paced near the corner. We don't know what waking them would trigger. These ships, they're not peacekeepers. They're relics of a civilization that erased itself. Corin Vess leaned on the rail, frowning. So what? We leave them here? Pretend we didn't see? Sasha chimed in. That's not how knowledge works. You can't unfind something like this. Adam's voice cut through the tension. There's another concern. Liz looked up. Go on. 2 hours ago, a buried transmitter came online. I believe the presence of curiosity, our mass, heat, and EM signature, activated a residual signal. Ben's face paled. We tripped something. Affirmative, Adam replied. I am currently intercepting a quantum pulse ping, repeating every 47 seconds, addressed to deep space. Destination? Adam hesitated. There is no destination. It's not sending data. It's requesting something. The silence felt heavier than vacuum. Liz stood slowly. Adam, you're saying the fleet wasn't left here to be found? Adam responded without emotion. I am saying the fleet was never abandoned. It was parked, hidden, its crew preserved, its ships prepped, not as a tomb. As a failsafe. Ben shook his head. But what would they be waiting for? Everyone turned to Lyrae. The historian looked down at the glowing console, then back at the frozen commander's face. A threat, a return, maybe even a future where humanity needed a reset. She looked up. They were betting on their own extinction, but leaving themselves a back door. In engineering, Sasha dug deeper into the system controlling the cryovaults. She bypassed 5 layers of pre-collapse encryption, each one more advanced than anything modern civilizations used, each one designed by paranoid geniuses who had seen too many endings. Then she reached it. A subroutine labeled, "If broken galaxy equals true." The condition, and the action that followed, "Wake Command Core, initiate reclamation." She called Liz over immediately. This isn't just hibernation, it's insurance. If their civilization collapsed, if the galactic systems failed, if everything fell apart, they were going to come back. Reclaim what? Sasha's voice dropped. Everything. Back on the bridge, Adam's tone sharpened. New signal detected. Everyone turned. Unknown ship entering system. Small, recon class. Scanning our location. Estimated time to intercept. 4 hours. Liz didn't blink. Can they see the planet? Affirmative. Corin cursed under his breath. First contact scenario. No, Liz said. This isn't first contact. This is first theft. They all knew what would happen. The moment the rest of the galaxy found out what was buried here, 500,000-year-old human war tech, still functional, every scavenger, pirate, and desperate empire would come crawling. Worse than that? Governments, confederation, enclaves, outer world coalitions, they'd fight over the fleet, or worse, they'd try to use it. We have to make a decision, Ben said. Now. Lyrae turned to Liz. Do we wake her? No one spoke. Then Adam said something that froze the room. I have analyzed the stasis logs of the command pod. There is a manual override key embedded beneath the commander's skin, near the collarbone, bio-linked. What's it do? Adam didn't pause. If activated, it wakes the entire fleet. Liz stared at the pod again. The woman inside hadn't moved, but her vitals had ticked upward slightly, perhaps stirred by the new signal, or the new presence, or something deeper, something programmed into her bones, a need to return, to finish what was started. Adam, Liz said, if we woke her up, what happens next? The AI paused. Then, Captain, the galaxy changes forever. The pod hummed faintly in the dark. The woman inside, still as death, but not dead. Her vitals had spiked again, just slightly. A twitch in the heart rate, a neural flicker, the kind of subtle movement you'd miss if you weren't looking. Captain Liz Martinez was looking, and she was trying very hard not to be terrified. On the Curiosity's bridge, the incoming ship loomed larger now on sensors. Ben watched the approach vectors with clenched fists. Scavenger class. Hull looks patched in 3 languages. No IFF code. This is going to go bad. Corin narrowed her eyes. Weapons? 2 pulse lances. Minimal shields. But they're not here to fight. They're here to grab something fast and bolt. They picked the wrong salvage, Sasha muttered. Below, in the vault, Liz stood with Lyrae, staring down at the sleeping commander's face behind the translucent cryoglass. Lyrae, Liz said, I need to know who this is. Not what, who. Lyrae nodded. Give me an hour. Liz didn't wait. She turned on her comm. Adam, patch me into the stasis logs. A pause. I have them, the AI responded. Would you like playback? The vault dimmed. A holographic interface shimmered into view beside the pod, and with it, the flickering image of a woman's face appeared, alive, alert, but tired, eyes sharp, expression grim. Her voice was calm, heavy with knowing. If you're hearing this, we're gone. Earth is gone. The war didn't take us. Not exactly. We took ourselves first. We saw the war coming and knew we couldn't win it, not by fighting it head-on. So we built this, a memory, a fail-safe, a promise. The hologram zoomed out, revealed the same fleet sleeping behind the walls, dozens of Earth warships, fully fueled, fully armed, waiting for a single command. We called it Project Silence, because the only way to win was to disappear, to convince the galaxy we had burned out, that we were extinct, that we were no longer a threat. But we weren't extinct. We were preparing. The message glitched, then resumed. If you're here, you're either a descendant of Earth or someone not meant to find this place. If the galaxy's still burning, wake me. If they've learned peace, let us rest. Lyrae whispered. She knew. She knew the galaxy wouldn't stay quiet. Liz just stood there, jaw tight. This wasn't a fleet. This was a checkmate in reserve. Back on the bridge, the scavenger ship hailed them. Static. Then a voice. Unregistered ship. You are trespassing in salvage space. Back off or be boarded. Ben rolled his eyes. Salvage space? This place isn't even charted. Liz returned to the bridge just in time. They're bluffing, she said. Should I respond? Ben asked. Liz narrowed her eyes at the comms array. Yeah. Put me through. The transmission linked. Liz spoke calmly. This is Captain Martinez of the Curiosity. You're orbiting a pre-collapse classified zone. You are not authorized. Leave now. The voice on the other end chuckled. What are you going to do? Throw rocks at us? Then a pause. Wait. That's Earth standard you're speaking. You from the core? Liz didn't blink. I'm from the planet that buried what you're about to regret touching. The transmission cut. Silence. Then Corin's voice. They're accelerating. Toward the vault? Toward us. In engineering, Sasha snapped her toolkit shut. They're going to try and force a boarding. Adam's voice filled the channel. Captain, I must advise, if this vessel is compromised, there is a 91% probability that knowledge of the fleet will propagate within 6 standard cycles. That level of dissemination will destabilize the current galactic equilibrium. Ben translated it flatly. If they get out, the entire galaxy finds out what we just found. Liz's hands balled into fists. She looked toward the vault on the monitor. The pod. The face. The woman who warned them. Then something strange happened. The ships in the vault, the war fleet, began to glow. Not all at once. One by one. A pulse of blue light across dormant hulls. A thrum of energy echoing through the buried steel. Sasha stared at the feed. We didn't touch anything. What's it doing? Adam answered before anyone else could. Response to external signal. A security trigger. The incoming ship crossed a perimeter threshold. Liz's breath caught. They woke it up. Correct, Adam said. Phase 1 ignition protocol has begun. In the pod, the sleeping commander's heart rate jumped. Her fingers twitched. The lights on her stasis chamber pulsed green. And on the bridge, a new signal came through, not from the scavenger, from inside the fleet. A voice, human, old, cold. Fleet command handshake confirmed. Tactical AI nexus online. Awaiting orders. The fleet wasn't dead. It wasn't sleeping. It was listening. Liz didn't wait. She turned to Adam. Can you interface? No. What do you mean? This system predates my architecture. I am being locked out. Ben whispered. Then who's giving the orders? From the vault, one final tone. A click. The commander's eyes opened, sharp, blue, and instantly aware. Vitals stabilizing. Neural sync achieved. Command authority, verified. The lights above the pod flickered from blue to white. The stasis seal cracked with a hiss of compressed centuries. Inside, the human woman slowly pushed herself upright, every motion sharp, controlled, rehearsed. Like muscle memory had been waiting 500,000 years to take over again. Captain Liz Martinez stood at the edge of the platform, watching in silence. The commander's eyes opened fully, piercing, analytical, alive. Status? The woman asked, voice dry but forceful. You're aboard the exploration vessel Curiosity, Liz replied carefully. You've been in stasis for... The woman cut her off. Status of the outer territories? Confederation reach? Defensive grid? Liz blinked. There is no defensive grid. Humanity hasn't been heard from in 500,000 years. The commander paused. Something in her jaw flexed. Then, she said slowly, we lost. Her name was Commander Reza Alinari, and according to the pod registry Adam finally decoded, she was Fleet Tactical Prime at the time of the Silence Protocol, one of the last living commanders of the pre-collapse Earth War fleet, the voice of the storm that never finished falling. In the AI core chamber of the vault, something vast had begun to stir. The Earth Tactical Nexus, a network of shipboard minds fused into one cold logic construct, had activated. Its voice was unlike Adam's. It didn't speak in tones. It stated, Tactical Command reinstated. Galactic Surveillance Grid offline. Enemy signals, none confirmed. Reclamation Directive, pending. Razor turned to the crew of Curiosity. Explain who you are, where you're from, why you're here. Liz answered as honestly as she could. We're explorers. From a multi-species confederation. We found this planet by accident, anomaly in the void fields. Razor tilted her head slightly. Confederation, not an Earth term. Earth doesn't exist anymore. That gave Razor pause. Not pain, just analysis. A successful extinction event? Liz hesitated. We believe so, but we don't know why. You were the last signal. Razor nodded once. Then the trigger failed. The failsafe was never launched. Sasha broke in via comms. Captain, we've got movement. The scavenger ship is prepping weapons. Looks like they're trying to ping the fleet directly. Razor's head turned instantly. Hostile? More like stupid. Razor tapped the side of her neck. Her skin lit with a faint glow. Old tech. Subdermal command network. Fleet. Restrict targeting protocols. Authorize standby defense grid. Paint threat. Do not fire. Yet. In orbit, the scavenger vessel didn't even realize it had been seen, but its systems did. Suddenly, every warning light on its console blinked red. Power fluctuations, system hacks, heat signatures in every quadrant. Then, a single word appeared on its main screen, replacing all others. Observed. On the Curiosity, Adam interrupted the tense silence. I cannot access or interface with the tactical nexus. Expected, Razor said. Liz studied her. That fleet AI, it's not like Adam, is it? Razor's eyes darkened. Number Adam is a companion construct. The Nexus is a war mind. It calculates losses before they happen. It wins by removing the ability for the enemy to imagine success. Lyrae whispered. That's not strategic. That's terrifying. It's effective, Razor replied. Ben leaned forward. Why did you build it? If Earth was so powerful, why hide? Razor walked across the platform, boots echoing on ancient alloy. Because we weren't fighting for dominance, we were fighting for continuity. She turned. Earth had seen what came before. The rise and fall loop of civilizations, empires rotting from the center. We chose to disappear on our own terms. Liz stepped forward. And what now? You're awake. The fleet's online. What's your plan? Razor looked up at the curved chamber around them, then down at her hand, curling into a fist. That depends. On what? If the galaxy learned anything while we were gone. A new alarm blared on the bridge. The scavenger ship had fired a test beam, low power, toward one of the sleeping ships. It didn't even leave a scorch, but it was enough. The vault lights flared white, tactical nexus activated in full. Unauthorized hostile act detected. Threat index recalculated. Response pending commander input. Recommend minimal force demonstration. Probability of future deterrence, 92.6%. Razor didn't blink. She looked to Liz. Permission to demonstrate. Liz nodded, slowly. Non-lethal. Razor tapped her wrist. In orbit, one of the ships, designation HSF Arclight, came alive. It didn't launch. It didn't deploy weapons. It simply shifted, reoriented, turned a small surface node toward the scavenger vessel, fired one pulse, no sound, no color, just an invisible wave. Inside the scavenger ship, every system froze, lights died, engines failed, life support shut off, and then, one by one, came back online. No damage, just a message burned into the flight logs. Leave. The scavenger ship bolted, no reply, just a hard burn out of the system, running from a ghost. On-board Curiosity, silence held. Then Sasha exhaled. Okay, I'm officially freaked out. Razor simply stood there, watching stars. Then it worked. Adam spoke up again. Captain, I recommend we record, catalogue, and seal this system's coordinates. We cannot allow this level of technology to fall into galactic chaos. Razor turned to Adam's projection. You don't stop chaos by hiding. You stop it by making people remember why they feared you. Liz didn't speak for a while, then finally asked, Are you going to rebuild Earth? Razor shook her head. Earth was never a place. It was a decision. She looked toward the fleet. And now, it's awake. The war fleet did not roar when it woke. It listened. The ships hung still in their subterranean vaults, lights humming like breath. Their AI cores, ancient, calculating, ran silent diagnostics. One by one, they blinked from standby to readiness. Command recognized, targeting systems aligned, fleet, operational. Captain Liz Martinez stood at the edge of the main hangar, the entire Curiosity crew assembled around her, their faces lit by the glowing edges of Earth's legacy. Commander Reza Alinari paced slowly in front of the fleet's control dais. She looked both impossibly calm and deeply unsettled, like someone staring at the end of a war they hadn't realized was still being fought. "I need to know what kind of galaxy you've inherited," she said at last, "before we decide what comes next." Ben stepped forward. "Most species aren't hostile. The Confederation, our alliance, isn't perfect, but it holds. We're explorers mostly, traders, builders." Reza nodded slowly. "But are you unified?" Silence. "No," Liz admitted. "Not like Earth was in its last century. But we try." Reza tapped the command panel. The fleet's map activated, an ancient star chart compared to updated galactic data. Differences, expansion, new worlds, entire sectors humanity never touched. "Then the rules have changed," Reza said, "and the fleet's purpose must change too." Lire Sen stepped forward. "You don't have to rebuild the past." Reza met her eyes. "I'm not here to rebuild." She turned to Liz. "I'm here to warn." Hours later, a long-range sensor ping echoed across the bridge. Corin checked the signal. "Confederation vessel, frigate class. They followed our relay burst." Ben swore. "How much did they hear?" "Enough." Liz looked to Reza. "You still want to remain hidden?" Reza walked to the viewport. The stars stared back, unchanged. "No." She turned. "It's time they remembered who held the line last time." The Confederation frigate, Asterian's Grace, entered orbit cautiously. Captain Vey Talos hailed Curiosity. "We picked up a signal. Something old. Something dangerous. What's happening down there?" Liz responded flatly. "We found Earth's legacy." "Repeat?" "It's not a myth. The fleet is real. It's awake. And it's watching." A long pause. "Do you need assistance?" Reza's voice cut in over the channel. "Only if you come in peace." Reza met with Vey on neutral ground, inside a comms chamber lit with relic banners, aged insignias, and a backdrop of human warships suspended in eternal dusk. "I'm not here to rule," Reza said, "and I'm not here to wage war." She gestured to the fleet. "I'm here to make sure no one ever has to again." Within a week, the entire quadrant knew, not the full details, just the headline: "Earth's fleet lives." They did not burn. They waited. Most empires reacted with awe, some with fear. One dared to threaten. The response? A single beacon pulse from Earth's tactical nexus, non-lethal. But every weapon system in that empire's outer defense grid shut down for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of silence. 3 minutes of terror. And then, 3 words. "This is restraint." From that day on, Earth stopped being a memory. It became a presence, a known quantity, and a quiet question. What if they return again, not to war, but to lead? The vault became a sanctuary, a warning site, a monument to resilience, foresight, and the terrifying kindness of a species that chose to sleep rather than conquer. The Confederation eventually designated PX-0419 as Terran Legacy Accord Zone, no weapons, no claim, just respect. And Reza? She didn't rebuild Earth. She trained a new kind of diplomat, not soldiers, keepers, people of every species, humans, xenos, synthetics, who would carry the story of what was found and what should never be needed again. Captain Liz Martinez remained in orbit another year. By then, caches 2 through 5 had been uncovered, each holding new layers of Earth's dormant power. AI seeds, terraforming protocols, weapons that used gravity like sculpting clay, none activated, because Reza's command was clear. The only victory that matters is the one where no one else has to fight. But just in case something old returned, something hungry, something cruel, the fleet remained, not deployed, just ready. Centuries later, children in the Confederation would visit the site. They'd walk under the silent giants of Earth's fleet, and they'd ask, why didn't the humans wake sooner? And their teachers would answer, because they trusted the galaxy to do better. In the center of the main hangar, A new banner was hung, stitched in gold on black. We slept so you could dream.